It's postseason ALCS season, and we are so ready to talk about everything to look forward to. Take a little look back at how we got where we are, right here on the upper deck. So Ciara, how are you going and how are you feeling? How are you doing and how are you feeling?
I am doing great. I'm excited. We are back to the ALCS. It feels like it's been forever. It's only been 2 years, but last time we were here, it did not go so well for us. So I'm hoping for a little bit of a different outcome. We barely survived the ALDS, and I know that sounds super negative, and I'm not normally negative, but it was a rough series, and I'm hoping for some more offense tomorrow because it just wasn't there. We won 2 games with 2 runs or less in the ALDS, and that hasn't been done since like 1996. That's insane.
It was very concerning, and I had to retire my postseason cap that I've been wearing for so long because that's how worried I was. I'm like, this has a hex on it all of a sudden, and I was encouraged not to burn it, but it was a thought. And when I put the my next choice on is when we were much better and on our way to getting where we got. But I want, before we really roll, I want to say, all our regulars, have come for happy hour here. So, gotta say hey to Lori, CT, Ford Train, great to see you, CT, Nosebleed, FJ, Egyptian Magician. Hey, are you working up some potions for us? Because we're gonna need them, maybe. And Gregory Wayne is here. Jared, I feel like, all right, I'm gonna maybe age myself, but if you remember Romper Room and the Magic Mirror, and I see this one and that one, that's what I feel like when I do that. But yeah, I probably did just age myself. Um, but I talk about that every week. Are you tired of me talking about how old I am?
No, it's okay. It
Probably
makes
because I.
makes me feel young.
Well, you're welcome. All right. So, as usual, we have our question from our friend Spencer, and so I am going to give you the preamble. So the Yankees are going to meet the Cleveland Guardians in the ALCS. They've opposed each other multiple times in the playoffs since 1997. The majority of times it has been the Yankees that have won. May that forever continue. And here's the question. In 2017, the Yankees faced Cleveland in the ALDS. Cleveland had a 2-0 lead, but the Yankees came back to take it all. In game 4, the Yankees' lone run that game was a homer hit by this former popular Yankee. Who was that Yankee? All right, chat, there it is. If you have your early guests now, go ahead and put them in, and as usual, we will get that right out to you as in the answer at the end of the show. And Lori has an answer. Lori always buzzes in. You need to be on Jeopardy, Lori, because you always buzz in first. That's amazing. Um, so perhaps, and CT is following suit and saying maybe bird. Yeah, maybe. Birds are nice. All right. So, um, before we go into what the chat's already moved on to, which is going to be right after this, let's break down the Royals. Let's reminisce a little bit about how we got here. Ciara, give us some takeaways on what we just went through with the Royals.
So my takeaways are this. First of all, the entire MLB world is waiting for us to fail. They think that we have this cakewalk to the World Series. And I just want to remind everybody that this is the postseason and anything can happen, right? Like look at the NL side of things, anything can happen. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sick of hearing about this cakewalk that we supposedly have. With that being said, my other takeaway is that our bullpen has been lights out, but our starting pitching and our big stars in the lineup need to step it up. We cannot survive the ALCS on the backs of Giancarlo Stanton and the bullpen. Other people have to get it done too, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah. I was, well, like I just said about giving away my favorite lucky hat, that I feel like I can't wear ever again. It was not. It was no cakewalk. And we have some players that we've been worried about on and off through the regular season to break down as well with that. So the one great thing, and Lori just said it in the chat, was we had a mini glimmer of light break through the gray skies for Judge. And but can we talk about that as like, oh, he's back, baby? I don't think so, but we're just we got to be better, we got to do better, we got to be more consistent all the way around. And that brings me to our 1 and 2 pitchers, Cole and Rodon, not what we wanted in a regular season game, let alone what's happening to them. We're more used to of late with Rodon, um, with breaking apart after, like, lights out, first few innings. And so it's frustrating because it's in there. He's got it, but he just doesn't get to have it all the way through,
Yeah.
to hold the line with us. And Cole also just totally in his head. Started out just fine, and went like into the fifth. So this is not what we could have. Certainly not if we're lucky enough to make it to the fall classic, but not against this team.
Yeah. So Cole in game four was much better than Cole in game one. In game one, I don't know what it was, but he didn't have it right from the start. You could tell just the hard hits he was giving up in the first inning. Aaron Judge had to chase down two right away. So that was just not a good outing for him. Game four, I want that version of Cole. 7 innings. Like, I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
As far as Rodon, for me, that was a tough pill to swallow, right? Because I've been Rodon's biggest hater this season. I've been very vocal about it. However, we waited 2 years to see Rodon in the playoffs because 2022 he was injured. 2023 we didn't make it. It has nothing to do with him. But we waited 2 years to see you in the playoffs. You strike out the side to start the game and then just completely fizzle out. It was such a tease to start the first inning that way, and then for him to be
Yeah.
out in 4.1 innings and have to put the game on the back of the bullpen again. Like, we need
Right.
our starters to step up. Clark Schmidt, fantastic. 10 days rest. He looked good. And I think that's one of his best starts this season. We need that from all of them consistently. And whoever the other starter is going to be in this round of the playoffs, we need the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we'll get Schmidt game one, but I wish we would get game Schmidt game one, because right now I have the most confidence in him. Quite frankly, I'm just going to use short term memory. He handled it. He handled it beautifully and executed. Exactly the way his scouting reports would show. And so I feel really good about Schmidt. And yeah, so Fortrain saying that the Yankees just beat a very formidable team in Canada. Yep, and it was tough for them to do, especially at home. And case in point, I just have to. If you missed this, and I'm sorry why it's so blurry, but thanks to Alexander Mednick for this precious moment, which I particularly enjoy, because I'm a big G lover, as is my partner Ciara. But this is what you want to see. Bobby Witt Jr., who we know, we're going to be seeing him for many years, rise and rise. I think, and so here he was in the dugout by himself. His team, said, "Oh, we can't stand this. We're walking away." He stayed, and look at what Stanton did. This is what, again, is this kind of behavior going to win us a trophy? Absolutely not. But it's this kind of spirit and intention for the game and sportsmanship, that we need on our team, and it does help us perform. But just in the sake of humanity, people, look at this, and what a great baseball moment. And of course, that didn't get talked about on TBS, which we could have a whole show about TBS. I'm not going to gaslight anyone on that, but just a really nice moment. And yeah, Egyptian magician. I wouldn't doubt it about Wit. I don't wish it, but I don't doubt that. Um, yeah, Wit will be a 40 home run guy. But it had to have been painful. We've lost big at home. No, it's not what you want, as Girardi would say.
It's not what
Um,
you want.
no,
That's one of the reasons I love Stanton so much, though, and I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for what he does off the field. He's one of those guys that just he never says anything bad. He always takes the media's questions. He never shies away from it, and he always takes accountability. And he's just such a good teammate and a good person. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that at all.
no. And CT, are you throwing shade at us for like mooning over Stanton? Get over it. Give us our moment. Yeah, it is sweet, and it's sportsmanship, which we don't see enough of, especially in the hot part of the year, with like which is the postseason, to
Especially
have that
after
grace.
especially after the Michael Garcia and Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Anthony Volpe, like that whole scrum that happened, to see something so wholesome, that's really good. It's good for baseball.
It is, and it's good for the young kids watching, and frankly, it's good for some of the adults watching. And so, oh yeah, I did it. I gaslit about TBS. I see all of you. I agree. I was like, oh, I forget how to sing John and Susan. How do I do that again? Um,
I could not listen to Costas talk about Giancarlo Stanton and how slow he was one more time. I was ready to just like I'm not gonna say what I want to say. I was gonna lose my mind because it was just so disgusting. Just leave the guy alone, okay? He stole a base.
and yeah, and he can't do many things anymore. And even after the win, he was like, they were zooming in on Stanton. They're like, he said it again. You have to give him, praise. We can't do the things he used to do, but shut the. Yeah, I'm not going to say it either. I almost just did, and yeah, with you, Maza, 100%. So so, any other comments before we move on to really the hot thing that was done? I know for me, I'm really curious to see what kind of moves the Yankees do or don't make before the first game.
Yeah, I mean, I think
So,
that's everyone's biggest question right now is somebody going to be off the roster to have somebody else on it? We had a few injured players going into the LDS. Will they be back? What are we doing? I mean, the game is tomorrow, so we only have so long to make these moves. I truly think the Yankees will hold out until tomorrow morning, though, to make the final decision.
yeah. And Spencer, hey, good to see you in the house. Where the lineup is concerned, scratching by will only get you so far. And yeah, we did learn the hard way in 2003. There's no doubt about that. Um, so, well, why don't we start with what you'd like to see?
So I know that Stroman had a rough second half to the season, right? But to me, him not being on the roster felt so wrong in the LDS. Like it just I don't even know how to explain it. Like my heart broke when I didn't see his name on there. My heart broke for him because he's a veteran, he has the experience, he's the biggest hype man in the clubhouse. And I know that's not necessarily important right now, but I feel like we need that energy. Also, I don't think we need Duke Ellis. Like if we were going to use him to pinch run and steal bases, why didn't we do it? Like we have, and I know that that's important, but we have Dominguez, we have Birdie, we have Cabrera, Volpe can be fast, Wells can be fast. Clearly Stanton is the fastest man on earth because he stole a base, and we also have Jazz Chisholm Jr. So I'm not necessarily worried about the run game. I think the Yankees just haven't utilized it this season. So I don't think we need Duke Ellis personally. I think Cortez will be on this roster because he was ramping up his intensity. So I'm thinking that he's going to be our final starter going into the LCS. And if Stroh is there, he'll be out of the bullpen, which I don't necessarily hate. But I am sad to say that I don't think Poteet will be on this roster, and that hurts my heart.
I know it does because I know he's another favorite of yours, but I think that's absolutely what they should be doing too. I'm right in line with that. That tracks with me. I think that It would make the most sense to have Nestor back in the rotation and for Stroh to be. And that's what our beef was last week when he wasn't anywhere on, right? Like at least put this guy in the pen. And I think that's exactly where we would want him for the early longer innings, when it's not, obviously a particularly dire situation. Um but but Egyptian magician saying he doesn't want to see Strowman, he's going to get lit up. Well, I don't have any comparison at hand on how he did or if he faced the Guardians this season. And Lou, hey Lou, didn't see you come in. Um, but he's saying no thanks, and Maz is saying that Stroh is better out of the bullpen anyway.
See, I think, and I totally get what everyone's saying, right? When it comes to Stroman, I do. However, you take a look at somebody like Gleyber Torres, who struggled all season. I mean, the second half, he had a much better half. But look how he performs in October compared to how he performs the entire rest of the season. So it's hard because sometimes people are built for October, but they struggle in the regular season. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, and Gregory, um I understand, but then the question becomes, we need a bigger rotation. This is a 7-game series we're going into, not a 5-game, and that makes a difference, I think. I think we do need an extra arm for starter. So, with that being said, the two choices are Stroh and Nestor. And just even looking at the chat, I think the scale's tipping on everyone's opinion as no Stroh and to go with the Nestor.
Who do you
Um,
think should come out of the bullpen if we were to take someone off the roster?
yeah, chat. Who do you think? Um, so
Okay, so here's the thing with Heel, right? I know he's a fan favorite. I don't trust him 100%. I have the same way with Rodon. Like one day he's lights out, super super intense. The next day you don't know what you're getting out of him. So I need, for me personally, I need pitchers that I can trust every time they're on the mound. And right now, Clark Schmidt, he is the only one that has proven to be that guy. He can always give you a solid 5 to 6 innings, and you know what you're getting out of him. He's like the perfect 3-4 pitcher. Whereas our 1 and 2 have been a little inconsistent lately. And Heel, like I said, he's been up and down. Now I know he's battled with fatigue and stuff throughout the season, but that's another reason why, to your point, Egyptian magician, I want Poteet on this roster. He was lights out when he came up when Schmidt was injured, and then he had that freak injury. So things happen because we're the Yankees.
yep. And they'll continue to happen, and all the more reason that there needs to be very thoughtful planning about who we're switching in and out. Hey, John Beagle Dad. Yes. But so Sierra mentioned that his intensity is building way up, and so um perhaps that he'll be, off the IL in time to be added to the roster. Sierra, you have anything to add about that?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So it was a short injury stint. It was never meant to be like one of those long ones, 60-day, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. 2 days ago, he was ramping up his intensity. So to me, that says they're trying to get him back into this rotation. But that's another reason why I don't think we will see the roster until tomorrow morning. I think the Guardians will have theirs out tonight, and ours will be tomorrow morning because we have, we're waiting on guys like Nestor. There's been no news on Rizzo so far. They have to make a decision on Stroman. There's a lot that has to go into this, and I'm not Brian Cashman. I'm not a GM. I am just a fan who has a lot of opinions. So whatever happens. But I guess we'll wait and see.
Right. And hey, Sean, good to see you. Yeah, well, what you're saying there is what we say all along. Rodon, when he starts off good, he'll stay good until something gets in his head that he can't just shift away from. And so, Sean saying, again that Heel is a starter. But so is Stroman. And
Veteran
so, I know in terms of the goods and the woes about both of them. It's apples and oranges, but it's sort of the same sort of line of thinking that's going to go into this. And hey, Mr. Barrows, good to see you. And so, oh, Maz's already jumping to hot dogs. Okay, we're gonna get to that in a hot second. But
Slow down, Maza.
he's hot to get hot. All right, so and in typical Yankee fashion, my prediction is we're not going to know until the 11th hour and 59 seconds when they need to announce any moves that they're going to make. So we're going to have plenty of time to speculate, even after we're done here. So let's just talk about this matchup that we're heading into in some more detail here. And so, we regular season, we got 50% more wins over the Guardians in our matchup, total of 6 games, of which we won 4. But and our postseason history against them is all in our favor. We've seen them 6 times, and we've won the vast majority of those. I had the exact number here somewhere. Yeah, so of the 6 times we met each other, Yankees won 15 games and Cleveland won 12. So and clearly we've only faced them once in the ALCS. That was back in '97. We won that. And so the rest were all ALDS. To be at this bigger stage, nobody around is going to remember the 1997 except me and some of my friends in the chat. But that, I mean, 98 rather. I apologize. It was 98. So it's a different team for both of us. We were in the middle of the dynasty then, and now we're saying things like, "I'm cautiously confident, Lynn." So not sure we could sit on any of that. So in terms of matchups, also, if anyone caught MLB.com's article this morning, it's not exactly tipping all in Yankees' favor, because Cleveland has built a young, hungry team, and their bats have been swinging. And so and we have our standbys. We have the ones we love to hate, like, "Hi, I see you, Josh Naylor." Yeah, rockabye. To me, it's like I want to call him, Vladdy Naylor, because to me they're the same person. But that's just how I feel about just their attitude. But can't deny that he's somebody to be concerned about. And when it comes to looking at our first base chances, like we were just saying about Rizzo, and all likelihood not seeing him this series, we have the SWAT team of Birdie and Cabrera over Naylor, who's not going anywhere. So
Yeah.
that's something to be mindful of.
That's
And
what that's what kind of concerns me though, is it hurts me to say this, we've beat them so many times. When is their time to beat us? Because at some point the scales have to tip the other direction, right? Obviously, we're all hoping for it to stay in our favor, but Cleveland has a good lineup. And while they did go 19 innings scoreless at one point, their bats woke up yesterday again, right?
yep.
Ramirez is a scary dude when he gets going. He is someone that once he gets going, you can't stop him. And then you have the annoying ass Naylor brothers. And I'm so sorry, Bo. You're guilty by association because you're your big brother. But they both have good bats too. And I just hate Josh Naylor so much. And one of my favorite images ever is Gleyber Torres mocking him after the Yankees won. It's just so funny to me. But Quan he's good, and then they just have a good lineup. And then Yankees fans all off season last year, I shouldn't say Yankees fans, some Yankees fans, one particular Yankee fan, I'm sorry. All he talked about was Emmanuel Clase and how he is one of the best closers ever. So guess what? We get to face him now. So let's put that theory to test. Is he the best closer in the American League? Or is it Luke Weaver?
Yeah. Which one do we dream about and have and sing about? Which one do we not? I mean, Again, I don't have the numbers to spit, but I remember a time when Class A was the big battle cry in on Twitter that we
Mhm.
needed Class A.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm watching him and I'm thinking, you know what? Probably another big contract that I'm glad we're not under right now. And Spencer, hey, if I miscounted and forgot the 2020 wild card, um, thanks for calling that out.
That's the Mickey Mouse year. We don't count that because the Dodgers won that year, and it was the Mickey Mouse World Series.
Mr. Barrows, you know you could just put that question in the chat. We'll answer it, and so will everyone else that sees it. Tell us. Now we're intrigued.
He's being so
So
polite.
so yeah, so the summary of the predictions in that article were it's a fairly even matchup with the Yankees having a slight edge, which is I think what we would have predicted the conclusion paragraph would have said, but still we have there's so much we still have to fix, and it really showed against the Royals. So this team is going to be so hype. I'm talking about the Guardians right now.
Mhm.
This team
Yeah,
is going to be
they
so
haven't won the
hype.
World Series since 1948.
Yep.
So
Yep. So, that's a really long time. That's not like 1918 for the Red Sox was, but that's still a really long time. And so they're hungry for it. They spent big money on what they have this year. And so, it's really about the bats. But there's just yeah, we got to watch out for Quan. We also, I know Jimenez has been a little bit, off of late, but he's still somebody that's been, his name's been around for a bit and mentioned a lot in the press, and still mentioned as somebody to watch for this series. So, got to keep an eye on him as well. And what about Thomas? Thomas is another one, the center fielder for the Guardians. But to me, I'm thinking, is that more about the Grand Slam that he had recently than anything else? To put him, and the article didn't put him over Judge, but he's another one I've been seeing a lot in all the articles.
they
So
put they put him over Judge because they're going off of Judge's postseason numbers. And honestly, if we're being real here, a lot of stars haven't showed up this postseason. So it's not just Judge. Bobby Witt Jr. didn't show up really for the Royals, and Shohei
at all.
Ohtani isn't doing anything for the Dodgers right now. So it's not just a Judge thing; it's a star thing. If we want to be realistic about it, um, I'm really hoping that that double from Judge is what he needed to wake up. He looked like he was seeing the ball much better in Game 4, and I'm hoping this 3-day rest doesn't hurt him and his progress continues into the LCS.
Right. I hope he's like just about everyone else and runs back and got the iPad to see what he did right that time. And Elliot, yeah, law of averages suggests that Cleveland's due to win a series. So hopefully they have a short memory like I do, Spencer, and they forget that about what happened in 2022. But we definitely are facing a serious, I mean, you don't get to the unless there's a real fluke. You don't get to the ALCS unless you're a serious contender. But we have a
Right.
history with them. Despite what the record shows, it's never an easy run with the Guardians. It hasn't been for years. And so this is not going to be a gimme situation. And here's Mr. Barros with the question. About 3 months ago, when Holmes was starting to blow saves and we were trying to figure out who would be the best option for the job, I said waiver, and you and everyone disagreed. So I do remember that, even with my sucky memory, Mr. Barros. And at the time, we didn't. That wasn't our. Well, for me anyway, I hadn't seen enough of Weaver to see that in him. He was like, as an earlier innings kind of guy who took us long, and so I didn't particularly see him as somebody that had more than one inning to, to succeed and show his stuff consistently, and it wasn't showing well, to be somebody that we could rely on for 3 outs to get. And we got ourselves in a situation where we had to pivot because of what we were not seeing from Holmes. And it was the right choice for a change in putting, rolling the dice on Weaver. So you're right, and this is not like a fickle fan kind of situation. This is like a it's baseball, Susan, kind of situation. I don't know if I'm the only one that wouldn't have predicted that Weaver is my closer. I certainly would not have, and I remember exactly when I said what I said. And good for you for your memory, better than mine, though, Mr. Barros. And thank you for the question. But I'm not sure I'm so alone in in where I was at that point as compared to where I am now.
No, you definitely weren't alone. I mean, I would have said Jake Cousins over Weaver, because he looked better at the time. And honestly, good for Mr. Barrows for remembering. We've all had opinions that have been right and wrong this season. And I mean, look at me. I've been fighting the Gleyber Torres battle all season. And look who showed up in October for us. So I'm glad Weaver's working out, and I'm glad you were correct, because we need a closer. And you know what? Not for nothing, Clay Holmes looks very good in that 6-7 spot. With all of the pressure off of him, and I really think that's what it was. I think blown save after blown save after blown save, it has to eat away at your confidence. So I think with all that pressure off of him, he looks so much better. He was so good in the LDS, and I really, really, really hope Clay continues that, because that's a Clay Holmes that we can all get behind.
And we have to wonder if Clay was so great in the LDS that it's because that pressure was off of him.
Mhm.
And maybe it's not for him anymore. Maybe this is where he will shine and be our guy, where he is right now. Maybe there's just going to be a complete, switch that's going to be ongoing. We don't know.
And he's playing for a contract. So
That's right.
he's gotta show up.
Yeah, and he's got to show that he's not just a closer, and he's doing that.
Yep.
So keep me in mind, Yankees, is what he's saying. And never, Mr. Barros. We know it's not personal. And this whole show's about opinions, and we love to have these debates. And this wasn't even a debate. I knew exactly where you were coming from. So no worries at all. And yeah, I think we're all glad to have Luke Weaver right now. And so we're thinking that oh, okay. And Mr. Barros is saying Torres looks brilliant. So he's, yeah, okay, that's a great, you didn't even have to offer that because of the question you just had, but you made Ciara really happy with that. And I so agree. Yeah, and FJ is saying that he's so much more Holmes is much more comfortable in the setup role.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yep, and Maz is concurring, and yep, and Yankee, great. By the way, great to see you. Thanks for being here with us today. And good. Welcome to the Ciara squad. The diehard Glabers, and I was saying to Ciara before the show, there's no question in my mind that he's completely lit up now. His brain is, on all cylinders clicking right now. And I really feel like giving him that, let's face it, it's a leadership role to be leadoff player. It's a statement that the management is making by putting you in that spot, and giving Torres the nod for that, the confidence builder that was, and probably the implicit net message of, hey, we still believe in you, show us up, show up for us. And he did, had an exact effect for his defense as well. So I have zero knocks for Torres, and I've had them, and I've always had to apologize while I was saying them. So and hey, Karen, good to see you, sis. Yeah, and yeah, and Karen saying the same thing. Yeah, it just seems like Holmes couldn't take the pressure because of New York. Although, he's been here for a minute. But maybe it just built inside of him, and you know what, people and their mindset and their mental, their mental abilities shift over time, and maybe it just wore him out, and I'm just grateful that he's doing well where he was. And so and Mr. Barros is on board for re-signing Torres.
Hashtag extend Glaber. Give him the qualifying offer. He is worth it.
Yep. So let's pivot to the look ahead here. So and I think Maz already put his hot dogs up above, but it's so far above he's gonna have to put them in again. Maza. So let's talk about who we think the hot dogs are going to be. These are predictions. That now we're not talking about a series that was, and who showed up. Now we're just flat out predicting. So what are you throwing down, Ciara?
Giancarlo Stanton, he's going to keep it rolling. Game 3, he went 3 for 5 with 2 doubles and 2 RBI, while the rest of the team went 1 for 25 with 1 RBI. So Big G is going to keep it rolling into the LCS. He is someone who shows up in October, and he said it in his postseason, in his post-game interview last week, that in October, every at-bat can make a difference. Every single play could win or lose the game, and that's the mindset he has. So I'm going to go with Stanton. Keep it rolling and get us to the World Series. It's been 15 years. I'm dying over here.
Yep. And well, you and I are always completely perfectly aligned on Stanton. I think we are seeing exactly what Stanton is proving, just for me and Ciara, what we said, from the beginning, before the postseason, that yes, he's not the guy that you're going to see as clutch during the season, but his contract is literally for the postseason. And we got to see really good stuff before the postseason. But now postseason Stanton man is here. The cape is on, and he's doing all the things. I think the world stopped spinning. It was like the shot heard around the world when he stole second base. Nobody, not even most Nostradamus, saw that coming. So, I think we're even going to see Stanton 3.0, and he's going to do all sorts of things and be a 30-30 guy someday. I don't know.
You know what upset me the most about that is in that game, he was a triple away from the cycle, and not a single announcer talked about it. And I'm like, I know it's not realistic here, but he just stole a base. So at this point, anything can happen. He is a triple away from the cycle.
That's right.
I was wrong. He didn't have 2 doubles. He had a double and a home run. Why did we not talk about that? That really upset me.
Right. And we should talk about it more. Everyone should be talking about it more. And nobody should be ruling out or forgetting that he might end up in Cooperstown someday still. So, he's not so far away from some of the consideration there. And Yankee greats, yeah, we know that you're new here. Please come back. We love making new friends.
You might be my new BFF.
And especially for both of us, but like what Ciara just said, you're her new BFF. So and you're absolutely right, Spencer. Clay's never been bad.
Mm-mm.
And he's always suffered from his lack of confidence. So it's all the more gooder that he, this whole thing happened and worked out well. And I guess Spencer's saying we have Meredith to thank for her take of an interview with him where he seemed confident. So yep. And Lou, I don't know. We have a perfect streak going of agreeing with each other. So yeah, 100%.
Your check in the mail.
Yeah. So yeah, and so and Glaber, I know you also wanted to talk about as a hot dog.
Yeah, so Glaber had a good LCS or LDS, and I think it'll continue on to the LCS because even when he's not getting hits, his ability to take a walk, like we talked about this for Soto all season long, and he got all the praise in the world. Glaber's doing it in the postseason. His ability to take a walk and set up Soto, who then can set up Judge, it's huge for us. Like, that is something that we need, because now you can't pitch around our 1, 2, and 3. Like, in June, we saw it. In June, when the whole team was something, all you had to do was pitch around Soto and Judge, and the rest of the team was like almost an automatic out. But you can't do that now. And then also you have Stanton batting 5th, so you don't really have anywhere to hide until you get to the bottom of the lineup. And even then, some of those guys have had good at bats. So I think Glaber will continue through, and if we make it to the World Series, it'll continue all the way through for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and there's some hot dogs coming in from Sean, Big G, Torres, Weaver, Cabrera. Greg missed yours from above, but yeah, Big G, Weaver, and Birdie. Okay, so that's telling me how you feel about the first base. And so, and then there's the bullpen. That bullpen has been what we've purported it to be since the beginning of the season, the regular season. Why don't you talk about the stats you got for that?
Yeah, so during the LDS, the bullpen, they were just on fire. So no earned runs. They gave up 1 run total, but it wasn't an earned run. It was when Hamilton came in for relief of Rodon. So that's on Rodon. They had 15 total strikeouts, 4 walks, and 8 hits. They had to have been the best bullpen in the postseason thus far. Like, were all locked in. And you know what's crazy? And I could be wrong, because some of these games I watched / listened to during cheerleading practice, I don't remember seeing Meza at all.
Nope.
So we didn't even use our whole bullpen, and we were still lights out.
Yeah, and you know, I'm hoping and expecting, if they were to make any switches before before Monday night, that we don't see Meza there anymore. And you know, and that spot would go to Rodon. Because no, we did not see him. And I believe what we did see Hill, chat can, you know, or you could correct me on that, but it was not productive. And let's get rid of him as well. Not needed. So yeah, we really only used the 3 that were there to begin with. And so you're right about that. Yankee Greats, and thanks for subscribing. We really appreciate that. Thanks for that. And so let's take that down, and let's go to a less favorable thing and talk about these guys.
So are we going off of down dogs from the LDS or predictions?
Predictions. Okay. Both. Well, it could be borderline, actually.
Wait. Are we doing down dogs or doghouse? I'm sorry. I just confused myself.
Well, no, you didn't. I confused myself. But that's okay. We gave them a spoiler alert. Yeah, so let's talk about the doghouse.
Okay. So going off the LDS, so right now Anthony Volpe is in my doghouse. But I'm really, 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 really hoping, well, that's not a word, hoping that little scrum at second base with Michael Garcia woke him up. Because that to me shows that the league sees Anthony Volpe as like this little kid, like this little punk. So he needs to just have a monster LCS. He needs to wake up and show everyone why you are here and why you are the shortstop for the New York Yankees. There's a lot of weight to that, to being the shortstop for the New York Yankees. So prove it, make it happen, do your thing, because we need you moving forward. And we can't have him making the throwing mistakes that he's been making lately. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And, you know, it was good to see some fire from him when he, you know, he was the cause of the bench clearing. Like the weirdest, funniest, non-ish.
That pat on the back from Volpe was diabolical. That right there would have set me off, patting me on my back while I'm walking away.
But no one would have expected it, or at least I didn't. Am I the only one that was shocked that he had it in him? He's like the choir boy of face, and he's still such a little kid in my eyes. But yeah, but I guess they had to get it out of their system anyway. But to me, it was like, wow, why is this even happening?
It was more about Jazz than anybody because Michael Garcia was chirping at Jazz online, and of course, Jazz is at third, and obviously he got involved. But still,
Yeah.
you need to fight with like to your point, the child of our team, and he didn't back down. So
No, he didn't. He caught that elbow to the shoulder there, and then the good boy pat on the back. He was lighting it up himself a bit more than I would have expected from him.
yeah,
But yeah, and so Volpe's another one. You know what? If we're in a situation where Birdie becomes the first baseman for the LCS, then they really should be sitting Volpe and giving Cabrera a game or two during the LCS, until we know that we could really rely on Volpe at the plate. And yeah, we've seen a bit better, but not enough, not LCS level um kind of thing. So I'm really just feeling very non-confident from him. Better than I have in prior weeks on the field, but not at the plate whatsoever.
yeah,
So
I agree. I agree. And then I have Rodon in the doghouse. We talked about it earlier at length, so I won't go too much onto this, but to strike out the first three batters of the game and then to crash out the way that he did, that is just unacceptable. We waited 2 years for this. He needs to be better in the LCS because if you're our number 2 starter, we need you. We pay you a lot of money for this reason. Please channel your inner San Francisco Giant Carlos Rodon and make it happen.
yeah, I mean, I can't echo that more. It's really a continuation of a theme from the season with him. And he has to now be so super mindful of where he is, literally where he is right now, when you're on that LCS stage, because you're showing us what you show us during the ALDS. If that's a predictor for when we make it to the World Series, I almost said, or what, I'm not saying that, when we make it to the World Series, you better have that head so cemented on your head in the right angle and thinking. So and yeah, so Yankee great. What you'll see here is that we don't bash, we vent. There's a difference. And yes, but I think you've already seen and heard that we also talk about chemistry a lot, because take Jazz for example, as completely off base as he was, no pun intended, by trying to get into the mix there because of what was going on um offline between him and what's his face, that he but we also have to take into effect he assimilated fluidly and pretty seamlessly into a position he hadn't played, and because of the chemistry. And you're 100% right, and we say it a lot here, and that's why I put up the "oh how sweet" picture of Giancarlo Stanton, because the same thing, these ways of being and the chemistry have to psychologically have an impact on everyone else wanting to be better and do better. So it does matter. And so with you 100%. And
And to
then
answer Mr. Barrow's question, so we're 2 at home, 3 at Cleveland, and then 2 at home. So because we have home field advantage, but it's 3 right in the middle at Cleveland, and then 2 at home. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, and Spencer's gonna abstain from predictions because they're always precarious. Yeah, but take a walk on the wild side, Spencer. We yeah, I get it, and yeah, that's all they are, and maybe I'm just thinking, if we say it, it will happen.
Yeah.
Just like if we build it, they will come. If this is
Manifest.
what we're predicting, that's what we're going to see. And I see they're already. It's like, do we hand out our notes, Ciara, before the show? Because
I think we
they're
do.
already predicting how many games. But anyway, very very psychic group of friends we have. And you talked about Rodon, so I know you're going to talk about Cole.
Yeah, and listen, guys, I'm gonna put an asterisk on this one because I know Cole was better in game 4, and that is the Cole that I need every time he's out there. I need him to eat as many bananas as he needs, to do as many squats as he has to. But game 1, Cole was off. He was off from the start. I don't know what it was, but he just wasn't there. Game 1 he went 5 innings, which isn't terrible, but he gave up 4 earned runs, and with how bad our offense was, it's hard for us to come back from when there's 4 runs given up, it's hard for us to win that game. It was a weird win. There was a lot of walks from the Royals. There was a stolen base by Jazz where he probably could have been called out. But the MLB umpires across the playoffs have been terrible, and so have the replay crew. So there's really nothing I can do about that. But like I said, he looked better in game 4. Hopefully he looks better in the LCS, and then I'll stop talking about it.
And Nosebleed, I think you're right. I think that does play into it.
So I get that. I do. But Clark Schmidt went off of 10 days rest, and he looked very good. So it's like, for some guys, it's too much. For some guys, it doesn't affect them. It's a very weird thing. And I don't know, man. I just need Cole to show up.
I think it has to do with how we live inside our own heads, which is very personal. Although we all make a lot of assumptions about what's going on inside of Cole's head. But, and I'm about to do it now. Cole is always inside his own head. And there's great ways for that, clearly, or he wouldn't be a Cy Young pitcher. But also in ways that are not so great for him, which is why he's not a Cy Young pitcher this year. And so we're just he's and Gregory thinks he's working it out. Cole is always working it out. That's the thing. I've never, for all of these moments Cole has, and he's had several. I probably on 2 hands could count during the season. He always comes back adjusted. And so I'm expecting the Cy Young Cole to show up this week. And so, it's not about confidence in Cole, but just taking the series we just won into consideration. That's what we're going off of in particular here. All right. So I was going to ask and now, but Ciara, I'm just going to ask you, and then I'm looking in the chat and I'm trying to do the law of averages here. So, what are your predictions for the 7-game set ahead of us?
Oh, so I think for the plot, it's going to 7 games. The Yankees are going to win in 7. We're going to win at home in game 7. I know that's not favorable, but that's just what I see happening. And whatever happens, happens.
Yep.
Expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected, and that helps with our own personal mental health as well. And so Egyptian magicians predicting that we're going to fall in love with Volpe this series. I never fell out of love, but I was considering breaking up. But I still loved him, and I hope so. I hope so. But you know what? We got to remember this kid has not gotten any rest at all. On the team of naps and milk and cookies, they have not given this guy a break, and he needs one. And this is shitty. Boop. Let me beat myself out. This is really bad timing. But maybe you do need to. I don't know if these days of rest didn't do him any favor though. So at all. So maybe not. I just hope we see him where we need to see him. I'm gonna, I'm 1 game shy of you, Ciara. I do think that we'll win at home. I do think we're gonna take the series, but it's gonna take 6. But I'm taking 6, and it was uncomfortable for me to say that. But I fully understand and can see how it would be 7. Because as we said at the top, this is not going to be a cakewalk. This is going to be a slog of a series with a team that is fiercely, jazzed up for this. Again, what is me with these puns that I don't intend? Um, and so they're ready. They're on fire. You can guarantee that. And we have a long post-season history with them, longish. But really, in terms of matchup postseason meets, they're up there with the number of teams with a high number of postseason matchups. And so there's a history here, and this team is too young to remember any of that, but they know the story, and we have some things to worry about. We have things to adjust to, but I'm saying 6.
Yeah, it looks like we have maybe a Cleveland fan in the chat, maybe just a troll. I don't know. There's no way in hell Cleveland is sweeping the New York Yankees. That it's just not going to happen. I don't know what extracurriculars you're doing, but that's never going to happen. And as far as payroll goes, who cares about payroll? Cleveland could have paid their guys more if they wanted to. Okay, like that's not my business, not my circus, not my monkeys. It is what it is. At the end of the day, payroll means absolutely nothing. And if you think that it does, then that's not my problem.
Yeah, so smooth concrete. I'm assuming all of that is in your head, all that concrete. Because you could be mad at the payroll, but to call it, to worry about it, whether it's fair or abhorrent, then who would you literally be playing in MLB? Just because your budget is lower than the Dodgers, than the Mets, than the Yankees, has nothing to do with the game. So be mad at your own organization.
Be mad at your fans for not showing up.
How about that too?
Like the Yankees, that's the thing. Yankees fans, Mets fans, and Dodgers fans, as much as I freaking hate the Dodgers, they're going to show up. They're going to buy the ridiculously expensive chicken tenders. They're going to buy the merchandise. They're going to do all these things, and that's all there is to it. Cleveland is a smaller market team. I do understand that, but your fans have to show up, and your ownership and your organization has to show up and put out the money.
That's it. It has nothing to do with the Yankees, but thanks for playing. Don't come back again. Thanks for playing though. And so Yankee Grades is saying that he sees himself already at Dodger Stadium and watching them win Game 5 in the World Series. So he jumped right over the Guardians.
I don't want to play the Dodgers.
I want that Subway Series. I know I keep saying it, but that's what I want.
And I know people don't want it because for whatever reason, and I get it, but I want the Subway Series. I think it's great for New York. I think it's great for baseball. And plus, then the MLB scriptwriters, they don't win. They've had the Dodgers winning the World Series since day one. So throw that garbage out the window. I want New York, and that is it.
Yeah, and I agree with Mr. Barrows. The Mets are going to spank the Dodgers. And
they got that grimace magic.
They're due. They really are due. And who doesn't want a repeat of the beginning of the millennium? I know I do. Let's do it. Long overdue.
We also just want revenge. They played us in June when we were at our lowest.
Oh yeah.
They swept the regular season Subway Series, which I know is not important, but it would be nice to just get a little revenge in the postseason. I'm just saying.
Yep, agree 100% with that. And so Ciara, as we sort of just get down to the end, any closing thoughts for the week ahead?
So my closing thoughts, and this could be for all, both sides of playoff baseball, expect the unexpected because it is the postseason and anything can happen. Okay. I am one of the most confident Yankee fans. I'm one of the cockiest Yankees fans all season long. But when we get to the LCS, it's a little different. I'm a little nervous. I won't even pretend like I'm not. But at the end of the day, I have faith in my team, and I believe we will be in the World Series. It's just going to take us 7 games to get there.
Yeah. And FJ, I think a Subway Series, yeah, but will the rest of the country care?
They will, because it's good TV. Sorry.
Absolutely. I mean, there are people that are baseball fans even when their teams aren't playing. I mean, a lot of us, I know Sierra's one of them, watch all other games all the time that we have no skin in. And also it's the Yankees. So, that is like the still the team of baseball. And so, yeah, Concrete, you're still here, so you had to hear that. But it's, truth hurts. So let me just put up the trivia question of the week for those of them that did see it at the beginning. And Spencer, if you're still here, thanks again so much. In 2017, the Yankees faced Cleveland in the ALDS. Cleveland had a 2-0 lead, but the Yankees came back to take it all. In Game 4, the Yankees' lone run that game was a homer hit by this former popular Yankee. Who was that Yankee? And earlier there were guesses in the chat from several people, and let's see if they were right. Let's see if what's in your head right now is right. And the answer is Greg Bird. Bird is the word. Greg Bird, whose promising career did not pan out as the team and fans had hoped. In case you're interested, Bird had played in the Australian Baseball League last season, which is kind of sad. But congratulations to everyone that got it at the beginning. And Spencer, again, thanks again. But Greg Bird, do you remember Greg Bird, Ciara?
Yeah, I was like barely 4 years old.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess I deserve that for asking that. I deserve that hurtful response. So, so you don't remember him, and that's okay. He ended up not being memorable, but boy, when he was like the great example of a player that when he was good, he was very, very good. But when he was bad, he was like, get him the hell away off the team. All right. So listen, everyone in the chat, get your rest. I know Mr. Barrows already ditched us for football, but at least he confessed. And so thanks for hanging in with us. I know it's football Sunday. Thanks for hanging in with us every week. Come back next week. Boy, will we have a whole different show then. And I really hope it's a celebration show. And don't forget to like, share, and follow. You know all our ats over here. Tune into our guys Monday, Wednesday, Friday from Pinstripe Chronicles, live at 10 a.m. right here on this channel. And as always, let's go, Yankees, future ALCS champions!